What's going on, everybody? This is Benjamin Bokchoy bringing you another F1 2020 video. And in today's video, we're just going to be doing a little review of the previous week's weekly event, which was a Seat 1 Classic Car Challenge at Canada, a qualify and a race challenge. So we went with the 2004 Ferrari just because it's the quickest car in a straight line in that group. And Canada's second half of the lap is pretty much one really long straight, so this will be the fastest car, and we do start on pole. We qualified third overall in the weekly qualifiers, which was pretty impressive considering I think I accomplished it Tuesday or Wednesday, so it was only at the first half of the week. But as you can probably already read from the title, we get into a little incident on the first lap. Get a pretty decent start, proximity arrows, everybody behind us is dropping back a little bit. But I'm a bit tentative into turn one, kind of go in a little tight to defend, which kind of throws us off for turn two and allows P2 to pull alongside us. But he starts dropping back. We brake for this right-hand turn right here, and I see that he goes in for a dive, and I hear that his tires have locked up. So I kind of go out further wide because I don't want him to run into the side of me. But he does anyway, and during the race, like I said, it all kind of happened quick, and I just see him spinning in my rear view mirror there. So I think it's my fault. But after watching my recording and the highlight recording at the end of the race, the one in the game, I feel like it was probably a racing incident. You can hear his tires lock up, and I think so this is him pulling alongside and then falling behind us, and I think because his tires locked up, he lost control of the car and just kind of went into us. But I still feel kind of bad anyway. I hate to see anybody spin out of a race, especially if it's in an incident involving me. But I think because I was ahead there, I think I had the rights to the racing line, and he probably should have pulled up. But I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm just going by what I see. And like I said, I think it was probably just a racing incident. I think he locked up and lost control of the car and just went in a little too deep and kind of just ran into us. I did try to send him a message to apologize and let him know that it wasn't anything that I did on purpose, and just try to, let him know that there wasn't any malice or anything like that in it. But I guess on Steam, from what I could tell, you can only really send messages if you are friends with them, and I didn't want to send a friend request to somebody that I kind of just got into an incident with. So if you're watching this, Dave Cranks, I'm sorry that your race was ruined. I sincerely hope you don't think it was done on purpose or anything like that. I'd love to see what happened from your point of view. Maybe it could have been lag or something like that caused the issue. But I just want to let you know that I didn't do it on purpose or anything like that intentionally. But your race was ruined anyway, so that sucks. And I hope you got back on later on in the evening and had a better race. But back to this race. After that, I'm not really sure if the issue with my wheel started at the beginning of the race or once that incident happened and we migrated hosts for this race. But if you can see on screen right now, the steering wheel is bouncing all over the place, and it felt like the on-track effects was set to the max. I think it's 150. So the wheel is jerking all over the place. It's really strong. It's taking a lot of my strength to keep the car straight in a straight line. The corners aren't too bad because we're not going too fast, but it feels like every tiny bump that we go over, the wheel is being jerked left and right like crazy. And now I'm starting to panic. I'm not really sure what's going on. Earlier, you probably saw me frantically flipping through the MFD to see if there was any damage on the car that might be causing this, but I've never had that happen before where damage to the car makes the force feedback jump up to the max setting. So right now I'm really confused. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm driving kind of poorly. We do have the fastest lap so far, but I'm going kind of tentatively through the corners, and I'm taking them kind of poorly because not only am I worried about the incident that just happened in lap 1, now the steering wheel feels out of control. So now jumping into lap 4, start of sector 3, I decided maybe I'll switch the profile on my steering wheel. I have a Formula V2 hooked onto a CSL Elite wheelbase, but like an idiot, I forget that profile 2 is set to Assetto Corsa Competizione, and the wheel lock is set to, I think it's like 540. So as I turn to make that turn, because the wheel lock is so much bigger, I understeer into almost into the barriers and go wide. And at that point I thought about quitting, but at this point I'm so annoyed that I really don't want to do another race, and I just reset the track and just hope to have a good recovery race and just call it a night after this. So during our little adventure off track, Ghost Rider in P2 does pass us, and I think at the most he was about 6.5 seconds in front of us, and P3 Roberto Carvalho, I think it was, is just about a half second behind us. Switching the profiles on my steering wheel did absolutely nothing. Didn't fix the problem at all. Wheel still jerking all over the place. So I just set it back to profile 1 and just try to deal with it as best as I can. Other than the force feedback being really high, it still felt like the car was still controllable. I don't think it messed up anything with the setup of the car. It was just kind of sending the wheel everywhere whenever I hit a bump. So as long as I could just use strength to make sure the car is staying straight down this straight, I think I can have a pretty good race still. And we do reply with a purple sector 1 and a purple sector 2, and by now I've kind of accepted the fact that it might just be some sort of a glitch because of the host migration, and I should just deal with it and try to do the best I can. So we do set a new fastest lap of 1:15.7, not blazing fast even in a race or anything like that, but still faster than anybody on track. And I think at this point I realized that I am the fastest person on track. So now we're getting down to just chasing down P1 and hopefully winning this race. So I think it's been about a lap and a half or about 2 laps since we got past, and we've cut the gap down to about 3 seconds now. I was surprised that it was easy to kind of drive him down just because he was sticking pretty well to us in the laps prior to going off at this hairpin here. So I'm not sure, maybe he just thought since I went off track that maybe I just quit the lobby and exited the race or something like that. So he's just kind of driving safe now, but I'm kind of annoyed and angry and just kind of like a man on a mission now, and just trying to win this race anyway, because I don't want to do it again, honestly. So now the gap's down to about 2 seconds, start of lap 7 here. Set a new fastest lap, 1:15.6. Again, not really blazing fast, but pretty good for the state of the steering wheel. And we're now closing really close to Ghost Rider here. The one thing that sucks about these cars obviously is that there is no DRS. This was the era before DRS, so even if I do stick close to him through the corners here, I'm pretty much gonna have to hope for a better hairpin than Ghost Rider, and just kind of use slipstream and rich fuel mix to track him down. And it does look like he's having some issues at the hairpin. We get better traction, we take that corner a lot better, and now we're right on his tail. And I'm pretty much resigned to the fact that I'll be this is probably where I'm gonna be for the entire track up until the hairpin. The hairpin in sector 3 is probably the only opportunity that I'll have to take the corner better, out traction him, and then use slipstream to get in front of him. There are other straights on this track, but they're just not long enough to really have an effect at all, since they're kind of all out of slow corners, and as long as he's ahead of me and doesn't make any crazy mistakes, there's just not enough of a straight to really catch up to him or anything like that. As you can see here, we're closing on him even through this short straight here, but the corner comes too quick and we can't really do anything about it. So again, just waiting for the hairpin. And at this point, I think I've kind of got the steering wheel issue under control. He does brake a little bit earlier than I do, and I kind of have to stomp on the brakes, lock up the tires, kind of mess up my corner there. And it looks like we're probably going to have to do one more lap behind him before we get another opportunity to try and pass. So I don't really like sticking behind other cars for too long, just because the engine does overheat. In these classic cars, this Ferrari here anyway, you don't really have to worry about overheating, as I said in my last video, but when staying behind a car for this long, it does have overheating issues. So I do want to get out in front of him as fast as possible, and our prayers are actually kind of answered a little bit, because going into this chicane here, he has kind of a poor transition into that right-hander, and we do get enough of a good traction zone there to get out in front of him before the next chicane. And at this point now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this race, so long as we don't make any huge mistakes. But I don't know if maybe he's going to kick it up again, just because now he's realized maybe I didn't quit the race, I'm still in it, and maybe he's hoping that I'll make another mistake. But I don't tend to make too many major mistakes. I kind of learned from the first or second time that it happens. So even though we were driving well and we're well ahead in first place, I did pause the game, or pause the race on the back straight at about lap 12 or 13 or so. Disabled my steering wheel and re-enabled it, but that didn't really do anything. The steering wheel, as you can see, is still jerking all over the place. And now I'm realizing that maybe it's not force feedback, it might just be on-track effects that might be causing the issue, since through the corners when we're driving kind of slowly, the steering wheel is pretty steady and controllable. It's not until we get to this back straight where it's really noticeable that the steering wheel jerks around. So I think it's just the on-track effect. I go into the options, turn on-track effects all the way down to 0, pretty much just turn it off, and then like an idiot come back in the middle of the chicane on the back straight there, and we kind of cut it but don't get penalized. But that seemed to fix the issue. As you can see, the steering wheel is now really steady on the straight line, and I think it was just some sort of a glitch that happened during the post migration. But obviously it took until the very end of the race to figure it out, and we did lose a lot of time, and I think I had 1 or 2 track extension warnings, so we lost some points for that. But like I said before, I was pretty annoyed at this point and just wanted to finish this race, so I didn't have to do it again, and I was just willing to take whatever score I got. But yeah, not a really fun race to do overall with the wheel issues and the incident on lap 1, but it was still a pretty good recovery, and I'm proud enough about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Just kind of wanted to show you guys the crappy race that I had a few nights ago. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys have run into any issues with your steering wheels. I don't know if maybe this is a well-known issue that has been solved or not, but let me know if you have run into any wheel issues in the past. Thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned for more. I think I'm going to do another one for this week's weekly event, which is just a qualifying race in the multiplayer car in Australia. So it should be a pretty easy one. Maybe I'll just do my qualifying laps or something, and try to come up with a tip or two that will help some of you guys out if you're having any issues on the Australia track. Again, do want to apologize to Dave Cranks for having his race ruined. Again, I hope he got into another race later in the evening and did better. If you guys think I deserved it, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Remember to eat your bok choy and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you guys. Oh, and I think we finished 40th overall come Monday morning when this event was over. So even with the bad race, it was still pretty good. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.